Simple Minds. It's our pleasure to welcome now Ben Milam, Multimedia Journalist, SuperTalk Mississippi News.
Hey, Gerard. Happy Friday, man.
What's up, Ben? Happy Friday, man. We got a little rain through here, which
finally
was a welcome relief and cooled it off a bit, but the stuff was getting dry. I think 35 days here in central Mississippi without it.
Yeah.
All right, I know we've been hyper-focused on national politics, of course, with the presidential election right around the corner, but there's some stuff happening in the state of Mississippi as well. What you got?
Yeah, that's right. Obviously, not a huge statewide election year. I think that's, obviously presidential election, much of the attention is always going to go to that, but also part of it is there's just not a lot of contested statewide seats. But in particular, the courts is kind of what a lot of people are looking at. You do have a Congress seat. Roger Wicker and Ty Pinkins will be are going for that seat. Wicker, obviously the incumbent. Ty Pinkins trying to unseat him. But I think the bulk of the attention statewide is going to the Mississippi Supreme Court seats. 4 of the 9 total seats are will be on your ballot on Tuesday across the state of Mississippi. 2 of those being contested, and one in the Central District is that's kind of captured most of the attention because Jim Kitchens, who is going for his 3rd term on the Mississippi Supreme Court as the incumbent, has 5 challengers, and that's pretty rare. 4 challengers, 5 total candidates for this seat, but kind of a rare thing for a Supreme Court seat to have this many candidates, period.
Yeah.
And it's kind of shaping up to be a really interesting race. There's been a lot of money spent on these campaigns. Jennifer Branning, Neshoba County native Byron Carter in central Mississippi, attorney in Byram, Ceola James, who has been a circuit judge in her past, and Abby Robinson, a Hinds County lawyer. This is, we've covered this relatively extensively, kind of dating back to Neshoba County Fair, where a lot of these candidates spoke. In fact, everyone except for Abigail Robinson spoke at Neshoba County, and of course Jennifer Branning, Neshoba County native, got a pretty good response there, and drew a lot of praise from her hometown folk. And Jim Kitchens, he's been in this seat for 16 years and going for another 8-year term, which is, I think probably part of what people are considering is this is an 8-year term.
8 years, that's right.
I think it's the longest term in terms of a statewide elected office.
Right.
And so that, in terms of the statewide elections, I think that's probably getting the most attention. A lot of people feel just based on the campaigns and the conversation around it. Jim Kitchens and Jennifer Branning, kind of the odds-on favorites there. But we'll be looking at that one really closely. And then you have Court of Appeals seats 2 being contested. And I've actually got my sample ballot pulled up right here. Jack Wilson at District 3, Position 1, Court of Appeals judge. He is running unopposed. And District 5, Position 2, primarily South Mississippi, 3 challengers in that one. Those are all new candidates. None of them have been on the Court of Appeals before. 3 candidates, Ian Baker, Jennifer Schlegel, and Amy Lassiter St. Pay. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly, competing for that open seat. And all have previous legal experience. 2 of them have been judges on the Chancery and municipal court level. And so I would encourage people, and we've put out a lot of great information just on what to expect when you go to the ballot box on Tuesday. But I would do your research. A lot of times I think, and also just from personal experience in the past, you go to the ballot box and you have all of this conversation about the presidential election. And you know who you're going to vote for president. Maybe you know who you're going to vote for congressman. And you see these other options down ballot of Supreme Court, Court of Appeals, and you kind of have no idea who these people are. So I would encourage people to either go to our website. Secretary of State's website has a lot of great information about these candidates, and also learning, what they're going to do. Court of Appeals, the second highest court in the state, Mississippi Supreme Court, obviously the court of last resort, so to speak, And that is a huge deal. I mean, that makes a tangible difference who you have on those high courts. So I would encourage people to be informed before you go vote.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting races for sure. But I think likely in the Central District goes to a runoff.
Yeah, that's kind of what we're thinking.
Yeah. All right, so Hobnob was held yesterday. Of course,
right.
Richard Cross hosted the Gallo Show on location there. What did you see and hear?
Yeah, Caleb Sailors, our man in the newsroom, was boots on the ground at Hobnob. And I'll tell you what, if you want to know pretty much everything that was said at Hobnob, I would encourage you to go to SuperTalk.fm again and just search Hobnob. Caleb did a really, really great comprehensive piece on all of the speakers, and maybe a little more tame than last year just because, again, it's not a huge statewide election year. Tate Reeves did not appear at Hobnob, but one of the big conversations was what you've talked a lot about, Medicaid expansion. Speaker of the House Jason White and Lieutenant Governor Delbert Hosemann both spoke in favor of Medicaid expansion and took a few jabs, maybe some soft jabs at Governor Tate Reeves on this, who has very publicly opposed Medicaid expansion. We got another great piece on our site about that. This is a piece of policy that before I got here, but I know during the 2024 legislative session, got a lot more attention and a lot more progression than a lot of people really expected, and it's really shaping up to be one of the primary pieces of policy and just general conversation in the 2025 legislative session. And some stumping has already been happening, and I think is really gonna start happening in earnest, and really did at Hobnob. And so I think it's probably too much information for me to break down right now, but I mean, the basic point of it is that Speaker of the House Jason White, Lieutenant Governor Delbert Hosemann, big Republican leaders, pro-Medicaid expansion, Governor Tate Reeves not, and that's going to be some contention as we get closer and closer to January. But again, people can go to our website to get the full story and information on that.
All right, what about the Mississippi State soccer?
Yeah. Man, this is a really, really cool story. I've gotten to do, in my time as a sports broadcaster, I've done a lot of women's soccer. I think the first game, first women's soccer, college women's soccer game I ever went to, I was on the call for, and I was totally lost. Had no idea what was going on, but I got to really build an appreciation and enjoyment of the game of soccer in general, and especially women's soccer. And I also know that it's really hard when you're kind of playing in a league like the SEC, which is so good and so parity ridden, and everybody has a chance to beat everybody on any given day. Mississippi State has absolutely torn through the SEC schedule. They clinched their first SEC title in program history. They're now ranked number 1 in the country. Clinched that conference title last week, last Sunday, with a 2-0 or 2-0, as soccer people would say, 2-0 win over Texas A&M in Starkville. And I mean, you can just go down the list. There are just records after records and superlatives after superlatives that Mississippi State has set this season. One of the most impressive, though, I think, is they have not allowed a single goal at home this season. Just 4 total goals across the 2024 campaign, and they're putting the finishing touches on the regular season. They will more than likely be a 1 seed in the NCAA tournament, which means they will host pretty much every round of the NCAA tournament as they advance and as you head towards those final site matches, hopefully, for the Bulldogs. But man, it has been an incredible run for Mississippi State. It's a great combination of veteran experience and new talent for James Armstrong as the head coach at Mississippi State. Those ladies are a ton of fun to watch. They've had, I think, 7 total record crowds, 7 of the top 10 highest crowds or biggest crowds in program history this season, and that's only going to continue as you host postseason soccer in Starkville and as they roll towards the SEC tournament. If they can keep this rolling, they are going to be playing, or at least be in contention for a national championship, which is another thing they have not done.
Real quick, we got an article, I believe, about Shad White's report, Auditor Shad White.
Yeah, that's right. Another Caleb did this piece, $335 million on the report called Project Momentum. Shad White came out with that earlier this week about government, what he calls government waste, inefficient spending in the state government, and recommendations based on that. But you can find all those details of the breakdown of that. 13 state agencies is included in that report, in that study that the state auditor's office did.
Appreciate it, Ben. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you, Gerard.
Folks, we're stepping aside for a break. We're in the Element Wealth studio. We're coming right